If you really want to be fluent in English, subscribe us. Hi, my name is John, and today I want to share something interesting with you. Have you ever found it hard to speak English on the phone? Don't worry, I've been there too. But you can learn to do it better. Let me share with you some tips that have helped me. I remember the first time I made a phone call in English. I was nervous. My heart was beating fast, and I didn't know what to say. But I learned a few tricks that made it easier. First, before you make a call, think about what you want to say. It helps to plan the conversation. One day I called my friend Emily. I was ready with what I wanted to say. It was easier because I had thought about it before. This made me feel more confident. When you know what to say, it takes away a lot of the stress. When you start the call, it's important to greet the person. You can say, "Hello, this is John. How are you?" This is a simple way to start, and it shows you are polite. Always use a friendly tone. Smiling while you speak can help make your voice sound warmer. I once read a quote that said, "Your voice is your personal signature." This is true on the phone. How you speak is how people will remember you. Speak clearly and slowly, so the other person can understand you better. Sometimes when we are nervous, we talk too fast. When I spoke to my friend Emily, I made sure to talk slowly. It helped her understand me better, and it made the conversation smoother. If you talk too fast, the person might ask you to repeat yourself. This can make the conversation longer and more confusing. One time I was on the phone with my friend Mike, and he was talking too fast. I had to keep asking him to slow down. It was hard to understand him. This is why it's always better to speak at a normal pace. You don't need to rush. Another important tip is to listen carefully. Sometimes we focus too much on what we want to say next, and we forget to listen. If you listen closely, the conversation will feel more natural. You can respond better when you know what the other person is saying. I once had a phone call with my teacher, Mrs. Williams. She told me something important: good communication is not just about talking. It's about listening too. This stuck with me, and I always remember it when I am on the phone. A good way to show that you are listening is by saying little things like, "I see," or "that makes sense." This shows the other person that you are paying attention. It also helps to keep the conversation flowing. One day I was on the phone with a customer service agent. He was very helpful because he listened to everything I said. I felt like he really cared about my problem. This is what makes a good conversation, especially on the phone. Sometimes you may not understand everything the other person is saying. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. You can say, "Could you please repeat that?" or "I didn't quite catch that." Can you say it again? This is better than pretending to understand and getting confused later. I remember a time when I was talking to my friend Sarah. She said something that I didn't understand. Instead of guessing, I asked her to repeat it. She was happy to explain it to me, and the conversation went on smoothly. It's also important to be polite on the phone. Use words like please and thank you. These small words can make a big difference. They show respect and make the other person feel valued. A polite conversation is always a better conversation. Once I had to make a business call. I made sure to say thank you every time the person helped me with something. This made the call more pleasant, and the person was more willing to assist me. Politeness goes a long way. Ending a phone call is just as important as starting one. You should always say goodbye in a nice way. You can say thank you for your time, or it was great talking to you. This leaves the other person with a good impression of you. I learned this from my friend James. He always ends his phone calls with a kind word. It makes me feel appreciated, and I've started doing the same thing. It's a small gesture, but it makes a big difference. Another tip is to practice. The more you practice talking on the phone, the better you will get. You can practice with a friend or family member. The more you do it, the more comfortable you will feel. Practice makes perfect. I used to practice with my cousin Anna. We would call each other and pretend we were talking in different situations, like at work or ordering food. It was fun, and it really helped me improve. You can try this too. A good memory I have is from a time when I called a restaurant to make a reservation. I had practiced what to say before, and the call went perfectly. I felt so proud of myself afterward. This showed me that preparation is key. When talking on the phone, it's also good to know some common phrases. For example, if you want to ask about someone's day, you can say, "How's your day going?" If you want to offer help, you can say, "Is there anything I can do for you?" I remember using these phrases when I called my friend Lucy. She was feeling down, so I asked her, "How's your day going?" It opened up the conversation, and she felt better afterward. Sometimes, a simple question can make a big difference. One challenge you might face is talking to someone you don't know well. This can make you feel nervous. But remember, they are just people like you. If you stay calm and polite, the conversation will go well. I once had to call a stranger for work. At first, I was scared, but I reminded myself to stay calm. I used all the tips I've shared with you, and the call went smoothly. I realized that talking to new people on the phone isn't as scary as it seems. Sometimes during a phone call there might be silence. This can feel awkward, but it's okay. You can fill the silence by asking a question or making a comment about something the person said. This keeps the conversation going. One time I was on a call with my friend David. There was a long pause, and it felt uncomfortable. I quickly asked him about his plans for the weekend, and the conversation picked up again. Small questions like this can help a lot. If you are making a business call, it's good to be professional. This means using formal language and being respectful. For example, instead of saying "yeah," you can say "yes." This shows that you are serious and respectful. I learned this from my boss, Mr. Johnson. He always speaks very professionally on the phone, and people respect him for it. I try to do the same when I make business calls. It makes a big difference in how people see you. If the call is personal, you can be more casual. You can use words like hey or hi. This makes the conversation feel more friendly and relaxed. It's important to know the difference between formal and casual language. I once called my friend Ethan, and I started the call by saying, "Hey, how's it going?" This made the conversation feel easy and fun. When you talk to friends, it's okay to be more relaxed and informal. Another thing to keep in mind is to be patient. Sometimes the person you're talking to might take a while to respond. Don't rush them. Give them time to think and answer. Patience is important in every conversation. I remember when I was on the phone with my grandmother. She speaks slowly, and sometimes it takes her a little longer to respond. I learned to be patient and wait for her to finish. It made our conversations much better. In a phone call, it's also helpful to be clear about your point. If you need something, say it directly but politely. For example, you can say, "I need some help with this," or "Can you give me more information about that?" I once called a store to ask about a product. I was clear about what I needed, and the person on the other end was able to help me quickly. Being direct saved time and made the conversation easier for both of us. Sometimes people might ask you questions that you don't know the answer to. That's okay. You can say, "I'm not sure, but I'll find out and get back to you." This shows that you are honest and willing to help. I remember when my friend Jessica asked me a question that I didn't know the answer to. Instead of guessing, I told her I would check and let her know later. She appreciated my honesty, and it made our conversation more trustworthy. It's also important to be positive on the phone. Even if the conversation is serious, try to stay calm and friendly. A positive attitude can make the conversation better for both you and the person you're talking to. One time I had a difficult phone call with my colleague Lisa. We disagreed about something, but I stayed calm and positive. In the end, we found a solution. This taught me that a good attitude can help solve problems. You might also need to leave a voicemail sometimes. If the person doesn't answer, you can leave a message. Be clear and brief. Say who you are, why you're calling, and how they can reach you. Always end with a polite goodbye. I remember leaving my first voicemail. I was nervous, but I kept it simple. I said, "Hi, this is John. I'm calling about our meeting tomorrow. Please call me back when you have time. Thank you, it worked," and I got a call back the next day. In conclusion, talking on the phone in English doesn't have to be difficult. You can improve with practice and patience. Remember to speak clearly, listen carefully, and be polite. Every conversation is a chance to get better. Here's a question for you. What do you find most challenging about talking on the phone in English? I'd love to hear your thoughts and help you improve.